My wife is a mercantile beast. She cheated on me, and during the separation, she forced me to pay alimony and kept our daughter for herself. The spousal support was set at $2,500 per month, and I was required to continue paying the mortgage on our home. In addition, I had to cover $1,200 for child support and health insurance until our child turned 19. If our child decided to attend college, I would also be responsible for those expenses. The judge's ruling would cost me over $7,000 monthly, despite my ex-wife's multiple affairs with colleagues at her law firm. I felt utterly betrayed and wronged by the system. My name is Sam Donovan, and my ex-wife is Emily. Our daughter Olivia means everything to me. She wanted to live with me, but the judge ruled otherwise. The trial felt rigged, especially with the excessive monthly support, given Emily's substantial income. It seemed the judge had a bias against me, but I wasn't going to let it slide. I resolved to make Emily regret her actions. I have a talent for finding opportunities, even if some were less than honorable in the past. Nowadays, I'm in real estate and own several businesses, including a coin exchange company. This coin business allowed me to pay the $2,500 spousal support entirely in coins, making it a hassle for Emily. She'd have to deal with the inconvenience of taking them to the bank and counting them with her lawyer friends. Emily stayed home with Olivia until she started school, and then became a paralegal. She quickly climbed the ranks, catching the eye of an ambitious lawyer who hired her as his assistant. In hindsight, I wonder if she was trading favors even back then. As her career advanced, she insisted we move to a more upscale neighborhood to flaunt our success, despite my preference for our modest home in Maplewood. We eventually bought a $950,000 house and decorated it to her liking, but I never felt comfortable there. Looking back, it's clear we had different life goals. I preferred a simpler lifestyle, while she wanted to show off our wealth. Returning to the judge's ruling in our divorce, I intended to follow his instructions, but Emily wouldn't be pleased with how I planned to do it. In the following month, I made arrangements to ensure that Olivia received her child support, but Emily wouldn't see a cent. It would go directly into Olivia's account. Olivia would also have excellent health insurance, while Emily would be stuck with a high-deductible policy. After the 30 days passed, it was time for Emily's first spousal support payment. I had an armored truck deliver the payment in coins to her house. Confused, she stood with a friend as bags of change were unloaded, drawing the attention of curious neighbors who watched as the coins were dumped onto her floor. As the truck left, she yelled at me, but I just waved and shouted back, "Enjoy your money from your lawyer friends." A few days later, a man approached me, asking if I was Sam Donovan. I didn't respond. He took a photo of me with the summons in hand, and when I didn't take it, he dropped it saying, "You've been served," before walking away. I picked up the summons and realized I had court next Wednesday, giving me a week to prepare. I spent the week getting ready for court and discussing matters with Olivia. She joined me for lunch, upset with her mom. I warned her that I might end up in jail if the judge didn't side with me. On the day of the hearing, we waited with my lawyer when Emily and her lawyer arrived, taunting me. Olivia tried to speak up, but the judge scolded her for interrupting, favoring Emily and believing accusations against me. My lawyer spoke up. "Your Honor, we haven't seen any accusations, and none have been formally presented." The judge responded, "I'm referring to a psychiatrist report I received. Based on that, I'm sticking to my decision. 4 months ago, Olivia was struggling with the divorce and her school life, so we arranged for her to see a psychiatrist. Emily must have found something in those notes she thought would help her win over the judge. I had never done anything inappropriate with my daughter, but Emily was trying to paint me as a monster. I was furious, knowing Emily was lying to make me look bad, and the judge refused to hear my side. I glared at the judge, vowing he would regret his decision. It seemed Emily's law firm was pulling the strings, but they wouldn't win in the end. My need for revenge was beginning to show. Emily's lawyer claimed, "We want the court to acknowledge that Sam Donovan has been acting inappropriately." My lawyer, just as frustrated, retorted, "Your Honor, my client has fulfilled every aspect of the divorce agreement. There's no basis to accuse him of wrongdoing." Emily's lawyer argued he paid her monthly support, but it was all in coins, mostly pennies and nickels, which damaged her floor and took a long time to clean up. "So it caused a mess and damage?" the judge inquired. "Yes, Your Honor," Emily's lawyer confirmed. My lawyer was quick to respond. "Your Honor, according to Section 31 of Title 31 of the United States Code, coins and bills are legal tender for all debts, including spousal support. My client has met every obligation, including insurance, mortgage, and child support." Emily's lawyer interjected, "As of now, my client hasn't received any child support from Mr. Donovan." "That's true, Your Honor," my lawyer admitted. but the child support money has been directly deposited into his daughter's account for her needs. You can confirm with her." The judge looked confused, turning to Olivia, who nodded in agreement. "We have proof of payment for the insurance and mortgage as well," my lawyer added. I glanced at Emily and her lawyer. They seemed panicked. "Your Honor," Emily's lawyer pleaded, "paying in coins is unreasonable for my client. Can we switch to checks for future payments?" The judge finally spoke up. "That sounds fair, but before I make any decision, I have a few questions." "And what would those be?" the judge asked. "Are the Chicago police part of the legal system?" my lawyer inquired. The judge, puzzled, replied, "Yes, they are." "Then why?" my lawyer pressed. "If my client's car is impounded and he wants to retrieve it from the Chicago police impound, can't he pay with a check? He has to use cash or a credit card instead." The judge stammered, My lawyer continued, "If the police, who you admit are part of Chicago's legal system, won't accept a check, why should my client be required to pay future spousal support with one?" Looking foolish, the judge got defensive. "Because this is my court, and I make the rules." ID had enough. I stood up and said, "You're just trying to please my ex-wife's law firm. Were you involved with her too?" The judge lost his temper, Mr. Donovan. "You're in contempt of court. You're sentenced to 6 months in Cook County Jail unless you apologize and agree to whatever I say." "Who do you think you are? The king of this corrupt court?" I yelled back. The judge was stunned, probably not used to being spoken to like that. "Take him away," he ordered. I glanced at Emily and her lawyer, who looked shocked. "Good luck getting your dirty money now," I grinned. Emily had no idea how much her life was about to change. I was taken to holding, had to strip down, and then got moved to the jail. Jail is a nicer word than what it really is. It's more like a prison. Right off the bat, 2 guards started hassling me about disrespecting the judge. I wasn't scared of being in jail. I'm 65 and weigh around 270 pounds, mostly muscle. Keeping up with my rental properties kept me in shape, and I had spent some time in juvenile detention when I was younger. They processed me and led me to the cell yard. I blocked out all the noise and commotion. My plan was to keep to myself and watch my back. As long as nobody bothered me, I'd blend in. When they served dinner that night, I grabbed my tray and went through the line. I leaned against a wall, eating while checking out the other guys trying to act tough. Then, over the noise, I heard a voice I hadn't heard in years. "Sam, is that you?" Back in my delinquent days, my street buddies called me Tex. "Tex," said Randall, a.k.a. Ringer, as he approached me. All eyes turned to us. I set my tray down and gave him a bro hug, right hands clasped together, my other arm around his shoulders. "Ringer, man, it's good to see you. How've you been?" "Not great, obviously I'm in here. And you? What landed you in this mess?" I told the judge he was a jerk, basically. "That'll do it," he chuckled. "So how long you in for?" 6 months, unless I apologize to that sobso. 6 months, I guess. We talked, ate, and got some stares from the other inmates. Ringer filled me in on what to expect and promised to have my back. I promised the same. That night, lying in bed, I questioned how things had come to this. Reflecting on my rough childhood with an abusive father and a passive mother, I realized the streets became my refuge. I joined a group of guys in similar situations, not a gang, just kids dealing with tough hands. Our actions didn't help the crime rate, mostly petty crimes, but we did steal a car or two, which led me to juvie. Looking back, it was a turning point. I promised to change and plan for a better future. At 21, I bought a tax-foreclosed house, the first of many. I renovated and rented it out. At 23, I met Emily at a club whose name I've forgotten. Her life was a contrast to mine, raised in a small town known for its music scene. Despite our differences, we clicked, got married a year later, and welcomed Olivia a year after that, naming her after Emily's mother. I bought a house in Maplewood, intending to flip it, but when Emily saw it, she fell in love and wanted to turn it into our home. Over the next decade, we worked on it together, raising our daughter, hosting BBQs, and living the American dream. Then Emily got a job at a law firm, and things changed, especially her attitude. The simple life wasn't enough anymore. She wanted expensive clothes, jewelry, and dining out replaced our backyard BBQs. She also started making disrespectful remarks about our old neighborhood. I understood the area's reputation, but she, a small-town girl, acted superior to everyone else. We argued about her attitude, and soon after, she insisted we move to a wealthier area. 3 years ago, we did, hoping for better schools, but Olivia faced snobby classmates. She wanted to go back home, and so did I, but Emily refused. The divorce started one night when she said she was going out dancing. I tracked her phone and saw her dancing intimately with another man from her office, kissing and groping in plain sight. Around 9:15, I had to use the restroom. While there, I overheard 2 guys talking. One said, You were really getting close with Emily on the dance floor. I thought you were going to make a move right there. Yeah, she's wild, the other guy replied. She knows how to talk too. For sure, she told me she's going home with me tonight, the first guy boasted. Finally, we'll have more time for fun instead of just quickies in the office or my car, the second guy added. Quick relief is okay, but it's nothing like the whole deal, the first guy commented. Tonight's going to be a long one, he bragged. Maybe next weekend it'll be my turn, the second guy said as they left the restroom. Their talk seemed more than just bragging. When I stepped out, I saw her in one of their arms, kissing on the dance floor. Around 9:30, she texted me saying she drank too much and didn't feel safe taking a cab home late at night. She said she'd stay at a friend's house. I replied, "That's okay. She'd regret it." I watched as she grabbed her purse and left the club arm in arm with a young lawyer from her office. I followed them. They were so wrapped up in each other that they didn't notice me. They got into his car, kissing and touching each other for a while. I was getting angry, but then my street toughness kicked in, and I calmed down, making my plans. I trailed them to his place. They went into the parking garage, so I headed for our house. When I got there, I told Olivia we were leaving for good, and that she should pack whatever she wanted because we weren't coming back. She was thrilled, but asked about her mom. She's got other people to take care of her now, I said, and she got it right away. It took us about 3 hours, but we loaded everything into my truck. Luckily, our old place in Maplewood was empty, so we had somewhere to go. Around 1100 the next morning, Saturday, she called me, "Sam, what's happening? Where are you?" "Home," I replied. It didn't take her long to understand why. "I don't know you anymore, and I don't want to." "Where's Olivia?" she asked. "With me. She doesn't want to live with you there anymore." She wasn't sure if I knew about her affair or not, so she tried to cover. "Come on, Sam. Just because you don't like living luxuriously doesn't mean you can leave and take our daughter." "No, Emily, but having a cheating wife is a good reason to leave. Expect divorce papers next week." She gasped and then said in her usual nasty way, "You lowlife, you have no idea what trouble you're in for. My firm will crush you." "Maybe," I said, "but it'll come out on top. You haven't seen the last of my anger." For the next 6 months, she didn't try to patch things up. Olivia revealed Emily's late-night absences and her harsh comments about me, urging Olivia to marry a rich guy for a life of luxury. But Olivia defended me, wanting to return to Maplewood. Now in jail, Emily likely thinks she's won, but I'll make use of my time to plan my revenge. I wonder if she's considered how bills will be paid, or her insurance and support. Then one Thursday, something occurred that would impact many lives, even those I'd never meet. The guards escorted me to a video room without my lawyer. They instructed me to sit down for judgment. They shut the door, and moments later, they let in 6 inmates, and I knew trouble was brewing. I woke up in the infirmary, all injured and sore. They wanted to show they were in charge, and this was their way. It looked like morning from the sunlight coming in. I'd been out all night. Glaring at the nurse, I felt bitter about the system that took my kid, made me fund my ex's luxury, and tossed me in jail. I was tied down, and my eyes were filled with hate. She assured me, "I'm here to help, not hurt. You're badly injured. I can aid your healing, or you can stay in pain." Managing a smile, I apologized. She understood my anger. Leaving briefly, she returned with breakfast and freed my hand. As I ate, I decided to ask for a favor to see Randall Turner. She promised to check and arranged his visit. When he entered, he exclaimed, "Oh crap." He knew I wasn't about to let this slide. I described the 6 guys and 2 guards who attacked me, then said, "I need the full names of all 8, not just their nicknames." "Oh crap," he repeated. "What's your plan?" "An eye for an eye, but with a twist," I replied. "I'll try to get the names," he said. "What do you need me to do?" "Just that. I'll handle the rest." After some more talk, he was taken back to his cell. I had a restless night, strapped to the bed and unable to get comfortable. The next day, Ringer returned with the list. Once again, he asked, "What's your plan?" "The less you know, the better," I replied. "Oh crap," he muttered. The following day, Sunday, brought both good and bad surprises. Emily had come along with Olivia. Emily spoke first. "So, I see you're getting along with your fellow scum." "What the heck do you want?" I snapped. "Olivia insisted we visit you. Ready to apologize and be reasonable yet?" she asked. "No way, and what's this nonsense about me and Olivia?" "You know I'd never do anything to her," I retorted. "How do I know?" "She seems unusually attached to you," she said. "Why don't you go back to your lovers and let them screw you over? Maybe then you'll see how full of it you are," I shot back. "Just so you know, I've offered myself to them and they loved it," she bragged. "Get out of here and send Olivia in." "I'm done talking to you," I exclaimed. She smirked, thinking she was getting under my skin. She was, but she was just adding fuel to the fire that would burn her in the end. When they brought Olivia in, she burst into tears at the sight of me all bandaged up. "Sweetheart, don't cry. It looks worse than it is," I reassured her. We chatted about small things. Then I asked, "Can you do something for me?" "Of course, Dad, anything." I handed her the list Ringer gave me, and she quickly tucked it into her bra. "Give this to Uncle Ben and tell him to come visit me ASAP." My brother Ben was 3 years younger. We both grew up with an abusive father, but I shielded him from it as much as I could. He was the brains of the family, getting into computer games and eventually computers themselves. We kept chatting until Emily returned and said, "Olivia, it's time to leave." Olivia didn't respond to her, just hugged me and walked out. Emily commented, "Your daughter is just as stubborn as you." I simply smiled as she walked away. On Tuesday, Ben came to visit. He was surprised by how I looked. "You're looking better than you did last Friday," I joked. "I'm glad I waited," he quipped back. Then he started talking to me in our secret language, the one we made up when we were kids to talk about Mom and Dad without them understanding. Whenever we need to talk privately, we use it. Liv, he said in our language. She gave me the list. "I've done some initial digging." "What are you looking for?" "Addresses of wives or steady girlfriends," I replied. He looked at me and then said in English, "Oh crap." Using our language, I said, "That's all you need to do, then give it to Gator and tell him to visit me but without the list." Gator was one of my crew. Ben knew he was still living in our parents' old house in Maplewood. "I can handle that. Anything else?" Ben asked. "No, that'll do, but don't be a stranger. I could use some familiar faces now and then," I said. "Aren't you getting out soon?" he inquired. "Not unless I apologize, and you know me better than that," I replied. "You've always been stubborn," he remarked. "Yeah, and it spared you from Dad's drunken anger," I reminded him. He knew I was right and just grinned. "I'll swing by in the next couple of weeks, see if you need anything else," he offered. "That'd be great," I replied. Later in the week, I was back in my usual cell, and Ringer had spread the word that something was brewing and there'd be consequences, they just didn't know what. The looks I got from the guards and the 6 inmates warned me to stay in line or else. Little did they know they'd soon be put in their place. Gator visited and said Ben passed it to me. "What's the plan?" "Did you hear what happened to me?" I asked. "Yeah, I did," he replied. "Ben must have filled him in. Payback time, but hit their loved ones. No traces. Use Steely Dan or his cousins," I instructed. He understood and nodded. "Coordinate it same day, same time. Make sure they're told don't mess with Texas," I added. "He'll get some help," he assured before leaving. He'd exact revenge soon, ensuring they couldn't trace it back, but they'd know why. A week passed with no word. I awaited my daughter's visit, dreading seeing Emily. Tuesday morning, I noticed the guards were absent unusual for a weekday, and one of the 6 seemed distracted and upset. It must have happened yesterday, I figured. I told Ringer to spread the word, "Don't mess with Texas." Soon, inmates were calling me Tex. Within days, the 6 inmates were glaring at me, and the guards watched closely, but Ringer's crew had my back. When one of the 6 inmates approached, 8 of my allies surrounded us. "You scum! My girl dumped me because of you," he said. "Don't mess with Texas," he spat. I smiled. "Sounds like good advice. I warned you, now your ladies know how it feels. An eye for an eye with a twist. You hurt me. I hurt the ones you love. Tell them next time it'll be their moms." His eyes widened and he hurried back to his friends. Soon after, 2 guards approached me, cursing. "Who the heck do you think you are? Well, make your stay here a nightmare." "Well, then I guess your wives better get ready for a rough ride. They might even enjoy it," I retorted. One of the guards lunged to punch me. I didn't resist. After enduring his blows for a couple of minutes, another guard intervened and pulled him away. Many inmates witnessed the altercation, as did the cameras, I'm sure. I was taken back to the infirmary, where Beth, the nurse who treated me before, greeted me. "So we've got a troublemaker, huh?" she remarked. "I didn't throw any punches, the guard just attacked me," I explained. "Well, there will be an investigation. This time there were too many witnesses, he'll likely lose his job over it," she assured. "One less jerk guard," I muttered. "Those guards are here to keep you safe, whether you like it or not," Beth countered. "He sure didn't keep me safe last time. In fact, he let it happen," I shot back. After she bandaged me up, Beth said I'd need to stay overnight for observation. I wondered if she just wanted to check out my battered face. The guard was suspended pending investigation. The other guard gave me stern looks but hesitated to confront me. Maybe he got the message, "Don't mess with Texas." It had been 3 weeks since Liv visited, and I was worried. Finally, Ben stopped by and informed me that Emily was refusing to bring Liv for a visit. That infuriated me even more. Me ex-wife was keeping my daughter away from me. At the end of the month, Emily showed up, almost leaving Liv in the car. But Liv refused to budge no matter how much yelling and screaming Emily did. Emily stormed in already mad. "Your daughter is impossible. She hardly talks to meshes, just as stubborn as you. You said the same thing last time. Why don't you get the judge to change his mind and give me custody of her? I'd gladly take her off your hands, I suggested. You're not getting her. She needs to go to a good school to succeed, Emily insisted. Maplewood is a good school, and she liked it, I argued. It's nothing compared to where she is now. She's getting a top-notch education and networking opportunities, Emily shot back. Our daughter will find her own paths. She doesn't need to rely on anyone else, I countered. You're just too stubborn to see the benefits, Emily accused. We've had this argument countless times. You won't change my mind, and I won't change yours. Why did you come here anyway? It wasn't to bring Liv to me, I challenged. Her name is Olivia, not Liv, she corrected. That's not what she wants to be called. Don't you want her to be independent? I retorted. You mean stubborn, Emily corrected. No, I mean independentable to think for herself. Make her own choices, not swayed by wealth, power, or a big paycheck, I clarified. She glared at me, knowing that last remark was aimed at her. Anyway, she said, I need my spousal support payment. I have things to buy and bills to pay. Well, you'll have to manage that with your own paycheck. I can't receive checks from my Scorp while I'm in jail, nor should I. No work means no pay. That's how it works in the real world, I explained. What do you mean? I can't cover all the bills with my salary, she protested. Well, you should have thought about that before dragging me back to court, I retorted. You were being difficult paying with change, she argued. And now you get no payment because I'm in jail, I stated. But you have to, she insisted. No, I don't. What are they going to do, throw me in jail again? Oh wait, I'm already in jail. It wouldn't be smart for them to take me out just to throw me back in, I reasoned. What am I supposed to do about the bills? She whined. I looked at her and said, Get one of your lawyer buddies to foot the bills. I'm sure you're worth it. With that, she stormed out of the room. Liv walked in and I was relieved to see her. You really got her mad, she exclaimed. She thinks I should keep paying her spousal support while I'm stuck in here. Good luck with that, I chuckled. How are you holding up, Dad? Don't worry about me, I'll be okay. How about you? Still avoiding talking to your mom? Yeah, just when I have to, she replied. So, when do you think you'll be out of here? Honey, I won't apologize to that jerk of a judge. The only way I'd say sorry is if he gave you back to me, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. I might be in here until my 6 months are up. I get it, she said sadly. My birthday's next month. I'd love for you to be out so we could celebrate, but I wouldn't want you to compromise your principles. We can have a big celebration when you're out. That hit me hard. I started thinking maybe I was being too stubborn. Being in here was hurting my little girl. Then Liv dropped some wisdom on me. If a person doesn't have principles, he has nothing. Like Abraham Lincoln said, important principles may and must be inflexible. Where'd you hear that? I asked. My counselor, Dr. Hodge, at school. It's been helpful having someone to talk to about all this. Some teachers noticed my grades slipping and got the counselor to chat with me. It's also helping me deal with Mom, even though I'm still not talking to her. Figures a fancy school like hers would have a PhD as their counselor. Those rich kids couldn't just chat with any regular school counselor. I turned to Liv and said, Looks like your mom's not too happy with you either. Yeah, she's getting pretty annoyed with me. I just brush it off. It seems to make her even angrier, but I'm not bothered, Liv replied. Well, in a couple more months, she'll have to find somewhere else to live. The bank won't wait forever for its jumbo loan payment. I reckon her mansion will be foreclosed on within 3 months, I explained. But Dad, won't that mess up your credit if the house gets foreclosed? Liv asked. Honey, when you usually pay with cash, you don't worry about credit. That dumb mansion was the only thing I ever borrowed money for, I clarified. Really? Wow, Dad. Even with all your rental properties and other businesses, you never took out a loan? Liv marveled. I used cash from the others to buy new ones, I revealed. Dad, I've always admired you, but now even more, she said, smiling. Thanks, honey. You sure know how to lift my spirits, I responded. It was wonderful seeing my daughter. But it made me wish we could spend more time together regularly. Missing her birthday would be tough. For both of us. But I knew she was strong. The following week, I heard that the guard who hit me was fired. It was hard to argue against the video evidence showing me not fighting back. Soon after, the other guard left too. I'm not sure if he got transferred, but at least he was gone. Many inmates thanked me for getting rid of the bad guards. I think I gained some respect, and more people started calling me Tex. After that, I had fewer problems. The 6 inmates were still angry with me. I heard that one of their wives filed for divorce, and 3 others got dumped by their girlfriends. Maybe foolish people can learn with the threat of more revenge and my improved standing among the inmates. They knew better than to mess with me. A couple of weeks later, I received a summons to meet with the judge in the video room. I told the guard I wouldn't meet anyone without my lawyer. He insisted the judge was waiting, but I stood my ground. I wanted my lawyer present, and if needed, they could reschedule because my schedule was open. I was informed 3 days later that the meeting was scheduled for the following week. I requested a half-hour session with my lawyer before the meeting for discussion. They arranged it, and my lawyer and I met to strategize. My lawyer mentioned he hadn't received any details about the meeting, which struck him as odd. We decided to proceed cautiously. When the judge appeared on the video, he seemed displeased about the delay. I wasn't bothered. To me, he was just an arrogant judge who thought he was above everyone else. My lawyer wasted no time and started speaking. "Your Honor, could you clarify the purpose of this meeting? We received no prior information, just instructions to attend." "You didn't need to involve your lawyer," the judge replied. "I simply wanted to see if you were ready to apologize for your behavior in court." I signaled to my lawyer, who leaned in as I whispered to him. "Your Honor," my lawyer responded, "my client refuses to apologize and instead requests an apology from you. Additionally, he seeks primary custody of his child." The judge appeared shocked. How could I ask for an apology? Obviously, he wasn't going to comply. "I stand by my decision regarding the child, and I owe no apology," he declared. "In that case, this meeting has been a waste of time. If my client changes his mind in the future, we'll seek another hearing." "Good day, sir," my lawyer concluded. "One more thing," the judge interjected. I thought to myself, now we'll learn the true reason behind this meeting. Your client isn't meeting the divorce terms. When will he start paying spousal support and the mortgage? The judge asked. I whispered to my lawyer again, sharing my response. "My client doesn't plan to make payments while he's in jail," my lawyer informed the judge. "But the house is going into foreclosure," the judge pointed out. "That's my ex-wife's mansion, not my home. I never wanted it," I clarified, addressing the judge directly. "You'll ruin your credit and lose your equity," he warned. "I'm willing to take that hit to see my ex-wife where she belongs," I retorted. Then, knowing it would infuriate him, I added, "Maybe her lovers can foot the bill with a dozen of them. They can surely manage." I knew suggesting my wife was promiscuous, and that the judge was one of her lovers would anger him. "You worthless scum from the South Side. Who do you think you're talking to?" he exploded. Before he could continue, I interjected, "I'm addressing someone who's been involved with my wife. If I'm mistaken, I apologize, but am baffled why someone with no stake seems so concerned." I stood up and headed toward the door to leave. I heard the judge say, "Your client just earned himself an extra 2 months in jail. If he keeps disrespecting me, it'll make his life a living hell." I grinned as I waited for the guard to take me back to my cell. He looked stunned, clearly shocked by what I'd just done. Back in my cell, I was buzzing with energy. It seemed my wife had mentioned the mortgage to her lovers, who then talked to the judge. What a mess. Their time was coming. The following Sunday, Emily couldn't resist visiting me in jail. Fortunately, Liv caught wind of it and insisted on coming along. "So, you managed to anger the judge again and score 2 more months. When will you learn you can't beat the system?" Emily scolded. "Emily, why don't you just stop talking to me? Your attitude isn't helping." "I just need you to make sure Liv visits me regularly," I replied. She practically screamed, "It's Olivia!" I turned away and refused to engage with her further. She kept complaining until she finally left, and then Liv entered. She entered with a big smile on her face. I asked her why she was so happy. "Because I get to see my dad," she exclaimed. "That can't be the only reason," I said. "Well, I do have a surprise for you, but I can't reveal it yet." "Dad, do you trust me?" "With my life," I replied. "Then will you sign this paper without reading it?" she asked, holding up a folded piece of paper. I eyed her suspiciously. "What's going on?" "You'll have to wait and see. You trust me, right?" I grinned and signed the paper. Liv had it folded so only the spot for my name was visible. "Mom said something about you getting 2 more months added to your jail time." "Is that true?" she asked. "Yeah, sorry about that, honey." "What happened?" "I had another disagreement with the judge. Well, whatever you did, he probably deserved it." We chatted more about school and her mom. She kept bringing up this Dr. Hodge and wondering what was happening. I tried to pry the surprise she had planned with my signature, but she insisted on keeping it a secret. "Well, I'm bummed I won't be there for your sweet 16, but I'll have a birthday present ready for you when you visit next," I said. "What is it?" she asked. "That's a surprise. Looks like we both have surprises in store," I replied. Before she left, I asked Liv to arrange for Greg to visit me. Greg was my right-hand man, handling all my business matters. "Sure thing, Dad," she said. I had given Greg a few tasks to handle when I expected to be jailed. Hopefully, he managed to take care of them. Now I had another task for him, Liv's birthday surprise. Later that week, Greg came to see me. He had managed to handle most of the tasks I assigned him. Then I briefed him on Liv's birthday surprise. "Are you sure about this?" he asked. "Yeah, it's the perfect gift for her," I confirmed. "Okay, I'll talk to our lawyer," he agreed. "Also, drop by my brother Ben's place and give him what you've got. He'll know what to do. If he's got any questions, tell him to come see me. If not, tell him to get in touch with Gator." Got it, he said before leaving. I couldn't help but smile, knowing that Gator would carry out my revenge plans while I stayed innocent in jail. By the end of the month, my status among the inmates had improved. That guard must have spread the word about how I stood up to the judge, and like any other grapevine, the news quickly spread. Soon everyone was calling me Tex. At the end of the month, I had a surprise visitor. Walking into the room, I spotted Emily sitting there. I almost turned to leave, but she stopped me. Sam, please stay. I need to talk to you, she pleaded. I've got nothing to say to you, Emily, I retorted. We're about to lose our house. Please, you have to give me some money to stop the foreclosure, she begged. Emily, that house is yours. I never wanted it, but you kept insisting until I gave in. It means nothing to me, and with the market down, we've got no equity in it. Let the bank take it, I said firmly. You can't do that, Sam. You have to help me, she insisted. Go ask your friends for help. I'm sure they've got enough money. Then you can be the person you truly are, I snapped. Why are you doing this? She cried. Why did you lie to the judge about me molesting our daughter? I fired back. She was speechless. She knew she'd wronged me. Sobbing, she broke down and I walked out, feeling relieved to have spoken my mind. On the way back to my cell, the guard got a call and was told to bring me back. Expecting to see Emily begging for help again, I was surprised to find Liv. Liv, your mom didn't tell me she brought you, I said. I wouldn't let her come alone, she replied. I'm sorry I missed your birthday, I told her, but I've got a present for you regardless. Dad, I knew you wouldn't be there and it's okay. I still love you and you don't have to give me anything, she assured me. What an amazing daughter I have, I thought. Well, I don't have it with me, but I can tell you what it is. Liv, the Maplewood home is yours. It's going into a trust for you until you're an adult. And when I get out, can I stay there? Of course, it'll pay you rent, I promised her. Then Gator visited. Everything was set. Footage of my ex-wife, other par, allegals and politicians doing illegal things. We had hidden cameras installed by cleaners who were paid well. We'd expose them all. My brother would anonymously post the videos online with the tagline, "Don't mess with Texas." News outlets and tabloids would go wild. Politicians and lawyers would scramble to cover up. I grinned and told him, next week spread the word about what's next. He agreed. Got it. Walking back to my cell, I grinned again. Ringer saw and knew I'd talked to Gator. He muttered, "Ooh-ho." I just nodded, smiling wider. When the videos dropped, I was in my bunk. I heard chatter spreading in the jail. Clearly, news had reached us. People were saying, "Don't mess with Texas." Surprisingly, the big Guione of the six came to my cell. He apologized for what he did. I warned you not to mess with me. Now others regret it. I match kindness with kindness and violence with violence. He hoped he'd accept his apology. Sure, but remember, size doesn't make you invincible. He nodded and left. 3 days later, I was called by the judge, my lawyer on the way. In the video room, waiting for the judge, my lawyer smirked. Wonder what this is about. Time will tell, I grinned. He muttered, "Ooh-ho." When the judge appeared, furious, accusing me, he yelled, "You did this!" I deadpanned, "What are you talking about?" "You're Tex, right?" he still yelled. "I've been called that," I replied calmly. "You'll pay for this!" he yelled again. "I've been locked up for 4 months. How could I have done anything?" I stated. "You have friends," the judge accused. "We all have friends, Your Honor," I retorted sarcastically. "You won't get away with this," he spat. "I don't know, Judge. You might lose your job soon, and your wife's divorcing you," I countered. "Call off your dogs," he demanded. "Now you're calling my friends dogs? They might not like that. Corner a dog, you might get bit," I warned. "Are you threatening me?" he questioned. "No, just stating an old saying," I clarified. "It'll make your life hell. Watch your back when you get out. You'll answer to people who don't care about you, and it'll be happy with whatever happens," he threatened before cutting off. I turned to my lawyer. "Got that?" "Sure did," he nodded, showing his phone. "More evidence. The Bar Association will want to know intimidation's a felony in Illinois." A few days later, my ex-wife visited again. "Oh, it's you," I thought. "I made it clear I had nothing to say," I remarked. "You bastard!" she yelled. "What's wrong?" I asked calmly. "You got me fired. My face is everywhere because of you. How could you?" she complained. "You did it, not me," I countered. "Do you hate me that much?" "Yeah, and all your lawyer buddies who think they're above everyone else," I retorted. "You used to be a nice small-town girl with a great personality. Now you're just a selfish snob," I continued. "What do I do now?" "No job and nobody wants to hire me," she lamented. "Maybe move back home with your folks and start over," I suggested. "I can't. The local paper's calling me the center of a scandal. My parents are retiring early and moving to Florida to avoid the gossip," she explained. "Florida might suit you far away from me," I remarked. "But they don't want me either. They barely talk to me," she sighed. "Maybe it's your fault if both your parents and daughter don't want to be around you," I remarked. "You should move and start fresh. Just don't take Liv with you. I'll fight for custody once I'm out." With your reputation, they'll reconsider you as a moral example.
You can't do that! She's all I have! She protested.
I don't care. You did this to yourself. We had a good life until you messed around. Maybe you could become a companion for one of your lawyer buddies. At almost 40, you might still find a market, I taunted. She looked pained, her head dropping to the table as she cried. Tough luck, I remarked. Did you bring Liv? She got mad, saying, It's Olivia, and no, she's with her counselor friend, she snapped. Then there's nothing more to talk about. Don't bother coming back unless you bring Liv, I said, walking away. This time I didn't feel smug, I felt sorry for her. She was shattered. The next day, I watched a news report a fire had broken out on the top floor of a downtown office building, gutting it. The lower floors were saved by sprinklers. I couldn't help but smile. Ben visited me the following day, saying the law firm's off-site server crashed, losing all their data. Again, I just smiled. A couple of weeks later, Liv came to see me, beaming. She must have convinced her mom to bring her. She looked happier than ever. Liv, I greeted her. You seem so happy. What's up? I finally finished your surprise. You'll never guess, she exclaimed. Well, from our last chat, it sounds like it involves the Maplewood house. Did you and your mom move back there? I guessed. Close, she replied cryptically. I was confused. What do you mean? Mom's getting kicked out of the house, and him moving to Maplewood, she revealed. How's that possible? The court gave your mom custody until you're an adult, I reminded her. That's the surprise I got emancipated, she announced. With the house in trust for me, it was easy. I needed a safe place, and our old neighborhood is perfect. So you're legally an adult now? I clarified, still trying to wrap my head around it. Yeah. When school got tough due to home issues, Dr. Hodge helped me out. Once you're out, we can go back home. I'm excited to return to high school in Maplewood. I've already caught up with old friends. They're eager for school to start. Mom mentioned you spending time with your counselor. I'd like to meet Alex, I said, wary of an older guy's attention to my daughter. You're in luck Alex brought me here today, Liv replied. My concerns spiked. Hez driving her around Chicago? You'll be right back, she said, heading for the door. I needed to tread carefully. How to let Alex know his boundaries with my daughter without upsetting her? When Liv returned, she wasn't alone. A stunning woman followed her, smiling at me. I recognized her. Freddie? Haven't heard that name in 20 years, she replied. Freddie, or Alexandria Frederico, grew up in my neighborhood. We went to school together. Liv looked puzzled. Dad, how do you know Dr. Hodge? Freddie and I were neighbors. We didn't hang out much, I explained. And you were a troublemaker back then, she teased. Seems not much has changed. I flushed. Some things never change. That makes sense, she said. Should I start calling you Tex? Why Tex? Liv asked. It was his nickname growing up. He wasn't one to let things slide. Your mom's done him wrong, and I bet he's behind the law firm mess, she speculated. I plead the fifth, I joked. Before we continue, I hope you don't mind me spending time with Liv, she asked. It's Liv, Liv corrected. Oops, my bad, she apologized. When I first talked to Liv 9 months ago, she was upset. I noticed her last name Donovan. Not common. When I saw her dad's name was Sam, I thought of you, Tex. When she mentioned you were in jail, I was pretty sure. I wasn't great back then, I admitted. You must have turned things around to have a place in such a nice area, she observed. It's just a house, not home, I clarified. Our real home's in Maplewood, Liv interjected. South side, but better than where we grew up, Freddie added. Yeah, wish we stayed there. Maybe things would be different, I reflected sadly. It was true if Emily had been satisfied. We'd still be together. After chatting, I thanked Freddie for helping Liv. No problem, Tex. She's like family, Freddie replied. I've grown attached. Thanks again, I said. When you're out, let's grab dinner, she suggested. I'll make sure of it if I ever get out, I said with a sigh. The following 2 weeks passed by without any changes, just the usual routine in jail. Liv and Freddie visited both Sundays, which I appreciated. Freddie really looked after Liv. She mentioned that Alex helped her decorate the house, buying new furniture and decor. When I asked about the money, Liv said, Uncle Ben's helping out, and I have my own savings, remember? Yeah, I just didn't want Freddie footing the bill, I replied. She's been great, but no, she hasn't paid for anything, Liv reassured. I hope it's not all girly stuff. I want to feel at home there, I mentioned. Don't worry, your man cave's untouched, she assured, referring to the basement, my retreat from living with 2 females. After they left, I pondered my daughter's maturity. She's legally an adult now. Soon, it'll be on my own. In a couple of years, she'll head to college. I hope to find someone who valued simple things. Then Emily visited on Monday. I almost left when I saw her. Sam, wait, we need to talk, she said. I sighed and turned back. What now? Do you know what our daughter did? Emily asked. What are you talking about? I inquired. She got emancipated. She's moved out and I don't know where she is, Emily explained. Oh, that, I said. So you knew? Did you push her into it? Emily accused. No, she did it herself, with her school counselor's help, I clarified. She's back on the south side. What about school? Emily asked, concerned. I told her she's going back to Maplewood in the fall, I stated. She hated that school, Emily. She was always belittled for being from a less affluent area, as they called it. You took her from a school where she was happy with good friends and put her in a situation that damaged her self-esteem. You did more harm than good moving her there. I was trying to ensure she got a good education, Emily defended. Kids learn from their parents' example more than in a classroom. We taught her life's lessons. What do you think your example teaches her? I countered. I hope it shows her what not to do. Our job is to raise responsible adults. I hope we've done that despite our failures, especially in our marriage, I reflected. It wasn't all bad, she countered, but it ended up that way. I hope you find what you're looking for. Clearly, I didn't have it, I responded. Seeing her sorrow and regret, I left the table feeling sorry for her once more. Finally, the day came for my release. I was summoned to court. Liv, Freddie, and Emily were there. As I waited for the judge, I wondered what he'd say. I wasn't going to apologize. We rose as the judge entered. It wasn't the same one, maybe the other lost his job. After reviewing the facts, the judge addressed me. Mr. Donovan, what do you have to say for yourself? I've served my initial 6 months, plus an extra 2, I replied. You could have apologized and been freed, he reminded. I didn't feel the other judge deserved my apology, so I completed his sentence, I stated. You're stubborn, the judge remarked. I prefer strong-willed. It's helped me in business and life, I retorted. Your divorce settlement stands, and you'll need to pay restitution for the time not served, the judge concluded. Then my lawyer chimed in. Your Honor, my client is willing to pay what he owes. Our calculation comes to just under $25,000. Today, he'll pay her the full $25,000, understanding that he's met his financial obligations and won't owe any more. Emily stood up in protest. What? You owe me more than that. You need to keep paying until Olivia turns 19. The judge intervened sternly. Miss, I'll handle all matters in my courtroom. Now, counselor, explain your calculations. My client paid the initial spousal support, mortgage, and insurance, as well as supported his daughter financially. During his time in jail, he couldn't pay spousal support or the mortgage because he wasn't employed. Now that he can work, he can start earning again, my lawyer explained. After reviewing the facts, the judge remarked, Your client was incarcerated for 8 months. Just the spousal support would be $120,000, not to mention the mortgage. Your Honor, the court order stated until the minor child becomes a legal adult. The child in question has been emancipated for the last 3 months, as documented. The house was foreclosed upon 3 months ago, so there couldn't be payments on a non-existent loan. The total owed is $2,500. He'll pay her $25,000 and consider all ties severed, my lawyer clarified. The judge scrutinized the documents and our calculations. He couldn't dispute the facts presented. I'll need to do further research on this. If what you've presented is accurate, then I'll accept this amount. Then he addressed both Emily and me. You share a child. Despite her legal status, she's still a teenager with needs. You both need to be civil for her sake. And Mr. Donovan, you should extend that civility to others involved in your divorce. Can I get your word on that? Yes, Your Honor, I acknowledged. Mrs. Donovan, the judge addressed. Yes, Your Honor, she replied. And Olivia? He looked at Liv in the gallery. It's Liv, but yes, Your Honor, she clarified. Then unless these figures prove false, I'll close this case. Mr. Donovan, you're free to go, the judge declared. Thank you, Your Honor, my lawyer expressed gratitude. As we left, Liv rushed over and hugged me tightly while Freddie stood nearby, smiling. I noticed Emily glaring at us. She then approached me, exclaiming, 120,000, that's it? That's unfair. Why? You chose your new partners over me, they can support you now, I responded calmly. You can't do this to me, she protested. Emily, let's be civil for Liv's sake, I urged. It's Olivia, she snapped. Okay, Olivia, I reiterated. What am I supposed to do? I have nothing, she lamented. You'll find another job and I can help with housing. I have a rental you can stay rent-free for 6 months, I offered. Move back to the south side, she whined. It's free, Emily. Can't argue with that, I reasoned. Oh, she sighed in frustration. Turning to Liv and Freddie, I asked, ready to go? Absolutely, they both chimed in. Freddie, I owe you dinner, I remembered. I think so too, she agreed. Let's head to that Italian place I like. I made a reservation after getting release confirmation. I need to erase the taste of jail food, I suggested. From the corner of my eye, I saw Emily's fury. The restaurant was our spot for special occasions. I booked the table for 700, so we've got some time. Mind if we take a drive? I just want to feel the freedom, I suggested. Then turning to Freddie, I asked, I reserved for 4. Can you check if your husband can join us? She fell silent, her expression blank. Then Liv spoke up. Dad, She doesn't have a husband anymore. I never told you. I was confused. Freddie always wore wedding rings whenever we talked, and she still had them on. What was I missing? I'm sorry, Freddie. I didn't mean to upset you. I apologized. It's okay. You didn't know. My husband died in a car accident about 5 years ago. A big rig forced him into the divider. They said he died instantly, Freddie revealed. I'm deeply sorry, Freddie. I had no idea. I assumed because you wore rings that you were married. I expressed regret. Yeah, I just can't bring myself to take them off yet. Feels like letting him go. I know, a psychologist with a mental issue, Freddie responded. Well, I'm sorry. Will you still join us so I can make it up to you? I asked. She looked solemn but agreed. I think that'll be okay. I realized I'd been too caught up in my own troubles and revenge to ask about her life. I felt awful. I resolved to change that. From now on, it'd be open to hearing her story, to being a better friend. The dinner was fantastic. It was a relief to wear regular clothes and not constantly watch my back. But being free felt a bit strange after 8 months. By the end of the meal, I felt more at ease. I asked Freddie Alexandria, whenever you're ready, would you let me take you out on a proper date? It'll wait however long it takes. Can we keep in touch until then? I asked. Dad, we're definitely keeping in touch. She's not getting rid of me that easily, Liv reassured. And I wouldn't want it any other way, Freddie replied to Liv. Then she turned to me and explained. Mike and I never had kids. With my studies and his business, the timing wasn't right. Having Liv as a sort of daughter has been therapeutic for me. I hope that's okay with you. After everything you've done for us, I wouldn't want it any other way, I assured her. Leaving the restaurant, Liv mentioned, hope you like how our old house looks. Anything's better than where I've been the past 8 months, I joked. Arriving there, I was surprised. The shutters were painted, the bushes trimmed, it looked great outside, and inside felt more like a home than ever. I could sense Freddie's influence. Cheesy as it sounds, tears welled up in my eyes. This toughened criminal was emotional. Sam, Freddie called out. Wiping my eyes, I admitted I feel like I'm home. Sam, Alex said. I turned to her, puzzled. She removed her rings, smiling at me. Unable to resist, I smiled back, and we hugged. 10 lawyers, 4 paralegals, 6 politicians, and a judge saw their careers and marriages destroyed because of the events surrounding my divorce and its aftermath. Whether seen as stubborn or strong-willed, sometimes sticking to your principles pays off. On a positive note, Liv gained a new mother as well as a younger brother and sister, both about 18 years her junior. They were twins named Frederick and Alexis, and I found it fitting to name them after the person who helped me start anew. As for Emily, she married a wealthy lawyer, perhaps finally achieving what she desired. While I believed we had everything: a loving family, a nice home in a good neighborhood, a healthy child, and a successful business that alleviated financial concerns, she seemed to crave status above all else. Now she has that status, married to a rich lawyer, residing in a large house in an upscale neighborhood. However, she also has a husband who is a disrespectful womanizer, using her for appearances rather than genuine affection. I hope she's content. I know I am.